Have you ever, found yourself falling down one of those YouTube rabbit holes?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the ones where you're just watching massive celebrities sweat, panic, and, outright cry over a plate of spicy chicken wings.
Yeah, the hot wing interviews. It's surprisingly compelling to watch.
Right. Or maybe you've been, standing in the aisle of a grocery store just staring at a bottle of artisan hot sauce.
The ones with the terrifying labels.
Yes. With some, fiery skull on the label. And you've just wondered, who on earth would deliberately manufacture such absolute concentrated pain?
Well, seeking out intense discomfort for, entertainment or culinary bragging rights is a surprisingly complex human behavior. It goes way beyond just simply wanting a flavorful meal.
It really does.
Yeah.
And today, we are going right to the source of that pain. We're taking a deep dive into the Wikipedia page of a man named Ed Currie.
Ed Currie, yeah.
And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how a man fighting profound personal demons managed to basically conquer his addiction by creating the absolute hottest chili peppers on the planet.
It is quite the journey.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if you look at the arc of his life, it really reads like a superhero origin story, But instead of falling into a vat of radioactive waste or whatever, our protagonist falls into a garden bed.
I love that framing. That captures the essence of his journey beautifully, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because looking at the sources provided for this deep dive, it becomes immediately clear that we aren't just looking at a story about agriculture or botany.
Right.
This is really a story of profound human resilience. It's about the obsessive pursuit of an absolute extreme and how channeling that intense fixation into the soil quite possibly saved his life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because to understand the peppers, right, the heat, the world records, the whole pop culture phenomenon, we really have to start by understanding the man who felt compelled to grow them in the first place.
Right. You have to look at where he started.
Exactly. So, Ed Currie was born in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan on August 18th, 1963. He grew up in the Metro Detroit area, eventually graduated from Central Michigan University.
And then decided to enter the high-stakes world of finance.
That's as a stockbroker, of all things.
Which, you have to remember, the environment of a 1980s stockbroker was incredibly high adrenaline.
Oh, yeah. Very Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. You're dealing with split-second decisions, massive sums of money, and a culture that really rewarded excess and, well, relentless drive.
And get this, he stepped onto the trading floor on Black Monday.
Unbelievable timing.
Right. His literal first day on the job right after qualifying, the global markets were in total freefall.
Wow.
And looking back, that historic market crash was honestly an incredibly dark foreshadowing of where his own personal life was heading.
Yeah, because alongside this intense career, Currie was struggling deeply with substance abuse. The sources describe him during this period as a, quote, functional addict.
Which is such a dangerous place to be, isn't it?
Oh, incredibly dangerous.
Because you're, keeping the suit clean, you're showing up to the office, participating in the economy, but internally, the whole foundation is completely rotting away.
Exactly.
You just trick yourself into thinking everything is fine because your paycheck clears every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that facade of functionality can really only hold up for so long.
Right.
Because the underlying mechanism of addiction is that it requires an ever-increasing amount of stimuli just to achieve the same baseline feeling of normalcy.
Oh, so your body just gets used to it.
Right. The brain's receptors literally become blunted. So whether that stimuli comes from substances or, say, the sheer adrenaline of high finance, eventually the biological and psychological systems just break down.
They just give out.
Exactly.
Right.
And for Currie, that breaking point arrived in 1999. He hit absolute rock bottom to the point where he was actually contemplating suicide.
That's heavy.
It is. But in a pivotal moment of clarity, he chose rehab instead.
And that single decision completely rewrites his future. By 2001, he moves back to his parents' hometown in South Carolina. He's actively going to recovery meetings where he actually meets his future wife, Linda, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in the midst of rebuilding his life, he just starts growing peppers in his yard. Just a guy in his backyard messing around with plants.
What's fascinating here is the psychological pivot.
How so?
Well, if we look at the mechanics of recovery, you often can't just remove a destructive habit, right?
Yeah.
You have to replace it with something else that occupies that same mental space.
Oh, so you need a new obsession, basically.
Sort of, yes. Currie substituted a highly destructive, fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled lifestyle for the slow, nurturing, yet incredibly demanding science of botany.
That's a huge shift.
It is. He began cultivating extreme heat.
Yeah.
And gardening requires patience, sure, but the way Currie approached it required a meticulous, fanatical focus that really mirrored his previous intensities.
Just channeled in a constructive direction.
Precisely. Grounded, literally.
It's like he took all that chaotic energy that was destroying him and just put it directly into the soil.
Beautifully put.
And what starts as this, therapeutic backyard hobby transforms into a highly precise million-dollar agricultural enterprise.
Yes, the business side of things.
Right. Because by 2003, he founds the Puckerbutt Pepper Company in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Puckerbutt. I mean, you just have to appreciate the complete lack of corporate pretension in a name like that.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. But the business operations themselves are incredibly serious.
Oh, absolutely.
They sell seeds, pepper mash, hot sauce. It has grown into the largest organic pepper farm in the United States, pulling in around $1 million in annual sales.
Which is no small feat.
No. And farming organically at that scale is notoriously difficult, especially when you're trying to push a plant to its absolute biological limits without relying on, synthetic chemical fertilizers or pesticides.
Right. You're relying entirely on genetics and natural cultivation.
Exactly. But how he achieves those limits, here's where it gets really interesting. Because of his crossbreeding technique.
The famous paintbrush method.
Yes. He's out there in the greenhouse, meticulously using a tiny paintbrush to transfer pollen from one plant to another. I like to picture him as this microscopic matchmaker,
Microscopic matchmaker. I like that.
Just orchestrating these arranged marriages between plants.
Well, hand pollination is a highly deliberate intervention in plant genetics. Normally, in the wild, you rely on bees or the wind to carry pollen from the stamen of one flower to the pistil of another.
So it's totally random in nature.
Exactly, it's random. But by using a paintbrush, Currie is controlling exactly which genetic traits are being combined.
Okay.
He's purposefully selecting parent plants for maximum capsaicin.
And that's the chemical that makes it hot.
Right.
Right.
The specific chemical compound that causes that burning sensation. But the true difficulty isn't just brushing the pollen.
Right, because he doesn't just, brush two plants together and magically pick a world record pepper the next week.
Far from it. When you cross-pollinate two different pepper plants, you create a hybrid. You have to wait for that pepper to grow, harvest its seeds, and then plant them the next season.
Oh, wow.
And the plants that grow from those seeds, they will have wildly unpredictable variations in heat, shape, flavor, everything.
So it's a gamble every time.
Exactly. To create a stable new pepper variety, one that reliably produces the exact same fruit every single time you plant its seed, you have to select the best peppers, cross them again, and repeat this process for 7 to 10 generations.
Wait, 7 to 10 generations?
Yeah.
We're talking about a decade of waiting, observing, and meticulously tracking genetics just to see if your initial paintbrush matchmaking actually worked.
It requires an astonishing level of patience, yes.
That is just wild.
It really is.
Yeah.
And this intense, decade-long methodology leads to his first legendary creation, the Carolina Reaper.
Ah, the Reaper.
Right. And to engineer the Reaper, Currie took a naga pepper, which originally grows in India and Bangladesh, and he combined it with a la soufriere pepper from St. Vincent in the Caribbean.
Okay, let me push back on this for a second, because this part always confuses me.
Sure.
If he is farming in South Carolina, right, why is he going through the trouble of sourcing genetics from India and the Caribbean? Why not just crossbreed the hottest local jalapenos or habaneros you can find down the street?
That's a great question. The answer lies in the mechanics of evolutionary biology.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, if you only breed local plants, you are working with a very shallow genetic pool. Those local plants have all shared similar environmental pressures, so they've developed similar evolutionary adaptations.
They're too similar.
Right. But when you take a naga pepper, which has evolved in the extreme humidity and specific soil conditions of the Indian subcontinent to produce its own unique defensive chemical compounds, and you combine it with a la soufriere pepper.
Which is from the Caribbean.
Exactly, an entirely different evolutionary lineage born from volcanic soils.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, you force a massive genetic collision.
Oh, I see. You're smashing two completely different evolutionary survival strategies together and just seeing what survives the impact.
Exactly. When those isolated lineages meet, the genetic expression goes into overdrive. You aren't just getting a blend of flavors, you are creating unprecedented heat profiles that neither parent plant could ever achieve on its own.
That makes total sense.
So this tiny backyard paintbrush technique is really the modern continuation of global agricultural trade, where humans have spent centuries moving seeds across oceans, drastically altering the botanical landscape of the entire planet.
And the result of that specific collision made history. I mean, in 2013, Guinness World Records officially crowned the Carolina Reaper as the world's hottest chili.
He did it.
He really did. He conquered the mountain. He reached the absolute summit of his field. But instead of retiring or, just resting on his laurels, he realized his pepper wasn't just an agricultural product anymore.
No, it was becoming a massive pop culture phenomenon.
The Carolina Reaper was everywhere. It quickly became a fixture in the cultural zeitgeist.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, he's featured on the Netflix documentary series We Are the Champions, specifically in their episode about competitive chili eating.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up on Mike Rowe's show, Dirty Jobs, showing the grueling reality of farming these literal chemical weapons.
It looks exhausting.
And, perhaps most famously, he creates the hot sauce known as the Last Dab.
Ah, the sauce that has caused countless celebrities to completely lose their composure on camera.
It's the best. It's the ultimate finale on the hit YouTube interview show Hot Ones. Guests have to eat a wing covered in the Last Dab at the very end of this rigorous interview.
It's a real gauntlet.
It totally functions perfectly as the final, unbeatable boss in a video game
Yeah,
that you have to defeat just to prove your worth to the audience.
that's a great way to put it.
And the reason it's the final boss is because of what Currie kept doing in secret for 10 years.
Right. While everyone was focused on the Reaper.
Exactly. A full decade after the Carolina Reaper, on August 23, 2023, Guinness officially certified his new creation. It's called Pepper X.
Pepper X.
And it measures an astonishing 2.69 million Scoville heat units.
Which is just staggering. To truly grasp the magnitude of 2.69 million Scoville heat units, we need to understand how heat is actually measured.
Okay, yeah.
Originally, the Scoville scale relied on human tasters.
Oh, no.
Yes. They would take an extract of the pepper and continually dilute it with sugar water until the tasters could no longer feel any heat at all.
Oh.
So if it took 5,000 drops of water to neutralize 1 drop of extract, the pepper was 5,000 Scoville units.
Sounds like a terrible, highly subjective job for those poor tasters.
It was wildly subjective. Today, thankfully, we use high-performance liquid chromatography, or HPLC.
HPLC, got it.
This is a rigorous scientific process that measures the exact concentration of capsaicinated chemicals in the fruit, which is then converted back into the Scoville scale for public understanding.
Okay, so it's precise now.
Very. Now, a standard jalapeno pepper measures between 2,000 and 8,000 units.
Okay.
Pepper X is 2.69 million.
That is insane.
We are talking about an exponential, almost unfathomable leap in chemical concentration. For context, standard police-grade pepper spray often falls between 2 and 5 million units.
Wait, really?
Yes.
So it's basically pepper spray on a wing.
Pretty much.
Which brings up a huge question for me. Is there a biological limit to how hot a plant can physically get? Or is Currie just trapped in an endless arms race with himself? Like, at some point, doesn't the plant just become a pure defense mechanism and forget how to function as a plant?
It's a fascinating biological tension, actually, because capsaicin is an evolutionary defense mechanism. The plant produces it specifically to deter mammals from eating the fruit.
Because we destroy the seed.
Exactly. Mammals have digestive systems that destroy the seeds. Birds, on the other hand, do not have the specific pain receptors called TRPV1 receptors that capsaicin targets.
Wait, birds don't feel spice.
Nope, they lack the receptor entirely. So birds can eat the peppers without feeling any heat, and they fly away, dispersing the seeds completely intact.
So the plant is basically chemically tricking the mammalian brain into thinking it's on fire, while leaving the birds alone to do the planting.
That is the exact mechanism, yes. But through human intervention, through Currie's selective breeding, we are forcing the plant to produce so much of this defensive chemical that it pushes the boundaries of the plant's metabolic energy.
Because it takes energy to make the heat.
Right. Producing capsaicin requires resources. There likely is a physiological limit to how much capsaicin a fruit can hold before it drains so much energy that it impacts the viability of the seed itself.
Oh, so if it gets too hot, it can't reproduce.
Exactly. If the seed can't germinate because the plant spent all its energy making capsaicin, the lineage dies. But Currie clearly hasn't hit that biological ceiling yet.
No kidding. And we, as a culture, are just lining up to consume it.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, It explains a lot about human psychology.
Yeah.
Currie didn't just invent a new agricultural product. He really supplied the ammunition for a modern gladiatorial sport.
Gladiatorial sport, wow.
We love watching people test their physical endurance and their pain tolerance for entertainment. Consuming these peppers is a safe, controlled way to experience an extreme physiological threat.
Because it feels dangerous, but it's not.
Right. When you eat pepper X, your body reacts as if it is suffering actual thermal burns. You sweat, your heart races, your endorphins spike, but there is no actual tissue damage. It is a massive adrenaline rush, safely packaged in a chicken wing.
But of course, when you stand at the absolute top of the mountain, supplying that gladiatorial ammunition for a decade, people are inevitably going to try to knock you off.
Of course.
Because when you hold a world record, you paint a massive target on your back. Which brings us to the spice wars.
The spice wars.
Right now, there is fierce pushback from his rivals in the agricultural community.
Well, competition at the extreme edges of any scientific or agricultural field is rarely polite. There is immense prestige and, frankly, significant financial reward tied to holding that world record.
And right now, there's a brewing controversy over whether Pepper X is truly as hot as that 2.69 million number suggests. A Michigan grower is actively disputing the Guinness record, alleging that there are significant defects in the study used to certify it.
In botanical disputes of this nature, a, quote, defective study could mean several things.
Like what?
The critics might be arguing about the sample size. Perhaps Guinness only tested a few exceptional peppers rather than an average crop.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or they might be questioning the preparation of the sample. Drying a pepper, for instance, removes the water weight and drastically concentrates the capsaicin, leading to artificially high HPLC readings compared to a fresh, wet pepper.
Right. And what's really throwing fuel on this fire is that Currie is flat out refusing to allow other independent testing of Pepper X.
Which is controversial.
Right. So what does this all mean? And I want to be incredibly clear to you listening right now. We are absolutely not taking sides between Ed Currie and this Michigan grower.
No, not at all.
We are strictly looking at the mechanics of the controversy as it is detailed in our sources. But looking at it from the outside, I have to throw out an analogy here.
Let's hear it.
Isn't refusing independent testing a bit like claiming you ran a 2-minute mile, but refusing to let anyone else measure the track?
It's a fair comparison.
It seems entirely counterintuitive to scientific validation. Like, if you have the hottest pepper, wouldn't you want every lab in the world to confirm it?
This raises an important question about the complexities of verification when we deal with world records, especially in niche, highly competitive commercial markets.
Right, because there's money involved.
Exactly. You have two entirely different philosophies colliding here. On one hand, you have the scientific method, which relies on independent variables, peer review, and transparent replication.
Sure.
If a claim is made, any botanist with an HPLC machine should be able to acquire a sample, test it, and get the exact same result. Transparency is the bedrock of science.
Right. Show me the data, give me the sample, let me run the test.
But on the other hand, you have intellectual property and commercial survival. In agriculture, your genetics are your most valuable, entirely proprietary asset.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If Currie releases Pepper X seeds, or even fresh, viable fruit, to an independent lab or a competitor for testing, he risks those genetics being stolen.
Someone could just plant them.
Exactly. A rival could easily reverse engineer his decade of work, grow the seeds, hybridize them, and totally undercut his market dominance.
Wow.
So the secrecy isn't necessarily about hiding the heat level. It is a vital protective mechanism for his multi-million-dollar business.
That makes total sense.
So you have this intense, unresolved clash. Proprietary commercial secrecy directly colliding with the public's demand for transparent, peer-reviewed scientific proof.
It's the classic struggle between the scientist who wants to publish their life's work for the world to verify and the CEO who knows they have to lock the formula in a vault just to keep the business alive.
And Currie is forced to play both roles simultaneously. Yeah. In a market that relies entirely on the prestige of holding that specific title, the tension is only going to escalate.
The crown is lucrative, and keeping it requires a level of vigilance that most people just cannot fathom. It is a relentless industry.
It really is.
Well, it really is an incredible, sprawling journey. Yeah. Just to recap where we've been today, we started with a functional addict, right? A stockbroker whose career began on the very day the global markets crashed.
A man who hit absolute rock bottom and stared into the abyss.
Yes, and through sheer force of will, he pivoted. He turned away from the brink, armed himself with a tiny paintbrush, and learned the excruciating patience of crossbreeding. He became a self-made millionaire by orchestrating global pepper genetics in his backyard, combining the evolutionary traits of India and the Caribbean to create the Carolina Reaper and eventually Pepper X.
It is a profound transformation of character. And for you listening, the next time you're at a restaurant or standing in your kitchen and you put a dash of artisan hot sauce on your food, take a moment.
Yeah.
Think beyond just the immediate heat hitting your palate. Remember the decade of waiting for seeds to stabilize. Remember the meticulous crossbreeding, the genetic collisions, and the intense personal redemption that has been poured into the soil to create those tiny seeds. You're not just tasting spice, you are experiencing the culmination of a man's life's work.
That's perfectly said. And that leaves us with one final, lingering thought for you to mull over. When we see these thrill seekers, these celebrities on YouTube, consuming these extreme, record-breaking peppers,
Sweating it out on camera.
right, subjecting themselves to immense, agonizing physical pain, are they really just chasing a brief moment of internet clout? Or maybe on some subconscious level, are they actually trying to taste a tiny, fleeting fraction of the immense resilience and endurance that Ed Currie had to develop just to survive his own darkest days?
It's a powerful thought.
Think about that next time you feel the burn.